This is the refreshed QX60 Infiniti, a larger SUV with 3 rows, ideal for a family that is extremely phobic of the word minivan, although it does retain a lot of the good things and practicality of that segment. If you're a fan of Nissan or the luxury brand Infiniti, you're gonna like the way that the new front end looks on the QX60. It's way more modern, more upscale than it was before. And just little elements between the cleanness of the headlight design, the grille design, it's not totally just gaudy or in your face. The back of the QX60 is where this thing earns its money. You can open it via your remote or the switch. The motorized hatch is slower and it does sound like a power cargo loader, but once it is up, you realize with all these seats down, this is an immense storage space. You could fit coffins, food processors, ant or rodent killer in here. I mean, there's just so much stuff that you could do, or use this just as a moving vehicle for that matter. The seats are a manual fold down process to get the third row down. They are not powered, but they are powered to go back up, which is actually kind of convenient because it's hard to actually reach in there to pull them up. One of my big complaints though, however, are these headrests. They look ridiculous, and namely if they're stuck in the up position when you're driving, you can't see out the back window, so I always leave them down when driving. And actually I just leave these seats down in general unless I'm hauling passengers. The driver compartment and the front compartment of the QX60 is one of its best features, and that's mostly because the level of comfort that you get from these front seats. There's virtually no fatigue with them. They're not bolstered. This is not a sporty cabin. It's more of that smooth, soft touch, just more luxury quality interior. Now, when I say luxury, that means something different to each person, but there's not a lot of gimmicks here. This is more of a throwback to older Infinitis and Nissans, and that's because this is an older platform. But, you know, the textures are pretty good. It doesn't seem like rubberized plastic interior. All the vinyl or plastics have a nice texture to them. The leather surfaces are well padded. Your knee area is padded, which is a huge bonus. You're just not going to have a lot to complain about in here. This doesn't feel like it's the most up-to-date cabin. It's not the most ultra-modern cabin either. This wood-ish trim accents look mostly stuck on the doors. It's, you know, there's a little bit in here that's cheesy, but for the most part, people are going to like the simplicity here. Now, there is technology in the QX60, and it's mostly transparent to the user, which is good. It's not in your face. Right below your rearview mirror is your frontal crash mitigation and radar cruise control module that scans the road in front of you. You have cameras on the front and rear of this vehicle for your 360 camera system, including parking sensors, which I found extremely useful. They're a little sensitive, but it errs on the side of caution, which is how mostly the safety system works in this car. The only negative part about the 360 camera system, while you can see around your car, the actual camera resolution is definitely not as high as some of the new cars coming out. You could tell it's a little bit grainy, it's not as clear, and I've cleaned the lenses as well. Lastly is infotainment. This isn't the prettiest user interface. It's not the fastest. It's pretty basic looking, and again, it's simple to operate. You have a central command knob, or you can touch the screen. It's not multi-touch, and there is some lag here. But overall, again, if you're somebody who's not huge on tech, you don't want all that, this is pretty simple overall, and you can black out this display at night by holding on the off button here, which a lot of cars don't allow you to do, and I like that. Nissan also allows you to dim out all the instruments and all the interior lighting to black while you're driving, so if you're on a trip and your eyes are getting fatigued, it's nice to have all that off. Overall storage capacity in here is pretty good. Cup holder design, your armrest design's good, your glove box is massive. It's not minivan level, but it's pretty close. And ergonomics overall are really solid. Things are exactly where you expect them. Is there a learning curve to remember where the volume and the track selector is and all these sub-menus on the center screen? Yes. Like most cars, it's a little bit littered with buttons. But your center stack, for the most part, with the exception of the HVAC controls for the touchscreen, I like everything here. Volume, track selection, your heat and, you know, raising and lower the temperature is pretty simple, and your vent controls are here. The cooled seats and heated seats also work pretty damn good, especially in the summer. But I found that this car seems to take a while to get cold, the AC to kick in. I'm not really sure if it's just this car or what, but I noticed it seems to take a little bit longer, but that's just another thing to note. Getting in the back of the QX60 is, again, much like the front. These seats back here are extremely comfortable. They can go forward, back, you can recline. Obviously, they have to recline to move the seat forward so you can get in the back. Getting in the back, much like many three-row seat configurations, is a little bit difficult. You got to climb over a bit, but it does move forward plenty, and you can recline this, so it's not a total deal breaker. One of the nice things about this actual vehicle is you have this theater package. Well, I'm not sure that it's worth the money, but if you have kids back here all the time and you want to play DVDs, that's what this will do. You can independently control left and right. You have Bluetooth or wireless headphones that are individual for left and right headrests. And then, of course, you get HVAC controls and seat heaters in the back here, which is nice, specifically in the winter. Now, I'm going to say this right off the bat. The QX60 is not about performance. You would think with a 3.5 liter V6 in here, it would be kind of peppy, and it really isn't. And some of that is just dumbed down by the actual CVT. So from a dead stop, when you just mash on the gas in sport mode, it seems to take forever to get going. There's a little bit of torque off the line, but pretty much that's it. In terms of steering and handling, this is a big vehicle, and it doesn't hide its weight very well. But the good thing about it is, in these hard turns, you can feel all the safety systems working, and they work really well in here. That's actually one of the biggest, it's actually one of the best features about it. If you're buying this car for a family, it controls a lot of aggressive movements. As soon as it gets body roll detected or lean or loss of grip, you can feel each wheel braking, each individual wheel braking to kind of get the car back under control, which is, again, if you're buying this as a family vehicle, that's what you're going to be concerned with, not if you can go flat out through the turns. So, as I said, this is not about performance. There's not a lot of fun to be had in the QX60. Steering feel is pretty good. It's not overly synthetic. There's some feel there, but you know that gets wiped out by the the body roll and just the way that this car behaves. There's not a lot of body control. It favors kind of just comfort and compliance and smoothness over everything else. So I'm going to get the biggest negative out of the way here with the QX60, and this isn't just about the QX60, it's about the CVT in here. I got out of the Nissan Maxima, and they had that CVT tuned more in a sporty fashion, and it worked pretty well. In here, this is your old school, slow to respond, kind of fake shifts, all the things that people don't like about CVTs in general. But if you're not driving this to put your foot down, you're not even going to notice it's there. It's actually quite smooth to operate. Fuel economy, my average has been right around 20 miles per gallon, and that's driving kind of mixed, not really hard because that's not what this car is about, but I would expect probably between 20 and 22 miles per gallon on a daily grind. The biggest thing about the QX60, really, that if you're looking for a family hauler, is really the safety systems. They work really well when you have them enabled here. All you have to do is hit the button on the steering wheel on the bottom right. It looks like a little car with two halos around it, and it kind of enables your lane assist, your frontal crash mitigation, and your blind spot monitoring. All of that work in concert to make sure that you're hopefully going to avoid a crash. And this is one of the more aggressive systems I've been in. If somebody's braking in front of you and slowing down, the actual car will start to brake for you, and sometimes it's a little jolting because I'm like, holy shit, this thing just stopped for me, and it probably shouldn't have, but it's very proactive. If you're somebody that is kind of distracted while you're driving, this could save your butt. Now, in terms of ride control, body control on regular streets, and quietness, this isn't the most quiet SUV out there. It's got a ton of glass in it. It's a non-offensive noise level, but it's not, you know, if you're expecting like elite levels of quietness in here, you're not going to get it. But it makes up for it in actual just kind of ride control over broken pavement. When you're on a straight and you're on a bad road, this is not an over-dampened suspension. You feel a little bit of springiness in here, which helps to alleviate some of the vibrations and stiff bumps that transmit into your seat. It kind of just dampens out a lot of that without being overly jarring. The last thing to talk about with this Infiniti, which is pretty much exclusive to Nissan, is their eco pedal, which means that when you're in eco mode and you have it set up in the menus, the actual gas pedal, accelerator pedal, will exert force back on your foot when you're driving too aggressively. And so if I'm in eco mode and I want to save fuel and I'm too hard on that pedal, I feel resistance in the pedal to kind of say, hey, stop pushing down the pedal, you're burning up your fuel. It does seem to work. It's a little weird at first when you get in here, and obviously I'm more sensitive to it. I drive a lot of cars. It feels like the throttle cable's stuck. It's like, what the hell's wrong with it? And then you realize, okay, I'm pushing too hard. That's the whole point of it, is to save fuel, and it seems to work pretty well. So if you're somebody that's got a lead foot and you don't want 20 miles per gallon, or you want to improve that system actually will help you. Now, conversely, I don't know what type of longevity it's going to have, if there's an actuator or a motor inside the accelerator pedal. I don't know, if you're driving around like that all the time, I worry about it wearing out. On really choppy pavement, that's kind of where the QX60 excels. It's its best point, really. The way that it dampens really bad pavement, choppy roads, you're pretty much always going to have a comfortable riding experience. Now, the trade-off of having really good damping on broken pavement is it sacrifices the sportiness, which we already talked about. And for the people that are going to be buying this as a family hauler, it's going to be a non-issue. At the end of the day, the QX60's biggest pros are comfort and utility. You drive this, you just feel a sense of, oh, I don't really have to worry about much. You're not going to get fatigued. You can fit everything you need to in here. Now, with that said, you have to be a person that likes a little bit more of a conservative styling and interior, because that's also where this strong point is. This is not the ultra-modern, ultra edgy car. And in terms of driving dynamics, this is by far one of the least sporty vehicles I've been in recently. Just the overall interior appointments don't exude that. The driving dynamics aren't about that. And then the CVT really makes it feel kind of more sluggish than it needs to be. But, if you're not in the market for anything on the sports side and you just want the comfort and utility, the QX60 is going to take care of most of that for you and give you most of the safety features that modern cars have that are going to keep you and your family safe if you're not a big driving enthusiast.